Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome back. This is the second episode of our exclusive interview with our today's headliner, Alhaji Adamu Ali Kiyawa, the Masanin Dutse, the district head of Kiyawa. We have, in the first episode, spoken a lot about his early childhood, his primary education, and his love for books and reading culture, and so on and so forth. Right now, we are transitioning into the last part of his secondary school life, and how he was able to get to university and upward, and so on and so forth. Well, thank you very much indeed.
You're welcome
For coming back on the show.
You're welcome, and viewers, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. And once again, I have to thank you again for allowing us to record in your house. Okay, right now, let's continue. In the first episode, we stopped when you were talking about the last part of your secondary life. Then what happened after reading those James Hadley books, James Hadley chess books, and so on and so forth?
Well, like I said, reading culture usually helps you in reading your academic material also.
Yes, okay.
So that, I think, helped me tremendously academically too. Because while we were going into Form 5, which was the last class, an exam was held, a screening sort of exam was held for both classes A and B. And at that time, no class would exceed 36 students.
36 students.
No class all over the state would exceed.
Which means your teachers knew all of you by name.
Of course. In fact, that should be the ideal school. Any school whose teachers do not know the names of the students by name, that school is overpopulated.
Oh, yes, definitely.
You understand? So we were given, as we are going into Form 5, the terminal exam or sessional exam of Form 4, then we are categorized from number 1 to number 72 because we are altogether 72. And a line was drawn in the middle after the first 36. So the first 36 were put in one class, Class A, and all of us were asked to be science students. And then the rest of the class from number 37 to number 72 taken to be art students. Whether you liked science or you didn't like science, you'll be a science student if
was that fair?
Bracket.
Was that categorization?
No, it is not fair. I mean, if you want to be a lawyer, I'm bright in school and I want to be a lawyer. I want to be a journalist. Why should I be forced to be in science? But that was how it was.
Were you taken to the science class?
Well, of course, I came second. I took second position out of the 72. So naturally,
you had to be in science.
I had to be in science.
Why you happy?
But at the initial stage, stage, one was happy because you are considered somewhat bright, and unfortunately, that enabled the Class A science not to be looking down on the B class, and it's not healthy academically. You know, because everybody has his own God-given talent. You may be good in academic, but somebody is excellent in sports. Even though at that time there was no exposure to international sports. But I mean, how many people will not want their kids to be an international sports person? You understand? So there was no opportunity at that time. You only needed to be academically excellent, forgetting about all the other talents that God has shared amongst his creatures. So I was in science, but unfortunately for us, or eventually fortunately, our science laboratory was considered ill-equipped. So we used to go to Frankazaure, we used to be taken to Dambata, an older school, to do our science experiments. Eventually, after...
What's the distance like?
The distance was about 30 minutes drive. Yes. Well, not even up to 30 minutes actually. Maybe 20 minutes drive. So we used to be taken to Dambata for experiments, but eventually we were told that the school was not equipped enough to take science in WAEC. That was after we got into after we finished first term of the final year. So all of us had to drop the 3 science subjects: biology, chemistry, physics, and took other subjects. So in my own case, I took Arabic, I took Hausa in place of physics and chemistry, and biology was exchanged with health science. So we all turned into art students now.
That gave you an opportunity to pursue what you were interested in
Actually, I didn't know what I was interested in. All I knew is that all I wanted, even before I enrolled in primary school, was to be a primary school teacher.
Okay.
Because there were the only somewhat workers around that time earning good salary, sort of good salary,
at that time,
and living well. They are the ones who would take chicken and and enchila and rice and whatever, you know.
I thought you wanted to follow on the footsteps of your father.
My father was a school teacher. I told you.
Yes, you said that.
Yes, that's
but
why.
You said that you
wanted generally teachers were living better.
Okay.
Even in my own household, you know, the kind of food that we used to eat, you don't see it in other households. You understand?
At that time, teaching had some sort of prestige.
It has some prestige because in Kiyawa, for example, they were the highest ranking people in the society. You understand?
Excellent.
Except for the district head and the alkali. They were the highest ranking people, and they dressed well, they lived well, their accommodation was fantastic. Even their children looked better than others, you know. So that's what I wanted to be, really. And even though it was on and off my mind, but even as I was told to take science, I didn't decide that I wanted to be a medical doctor or an engineer or whatever. It was just given to me and I took it. And then eventually we were told to be art students. And you earlier on in our previous episode, you talked how was the school system at that time. We were both forms, and I think from about number 1 to 18, we were both forms for admission into Ahmadu Bello University. And Ahmadu Bello University at that time included the School of Basic Studies in Zaria and the School of Preliminary Studies in Abdullahi Bayero College here in Kano, which became Bayero University. So you will fill one form for both schools, but you will attend entrance exam into each of the two schools, because even ABU was offering both art and science, but Bayero at that time, Abdullahi Bayero College was offering only art. So you'll take both entrance exam to both schools.
That was when?
1975.
Okay, 75.
So we came and took those exams. Even the exam for ABU we took it here in Kano. We finished our work on 1st January, 1st June, 1st July 1975. By 23rd July, we were already registered in the university. Took us only 22 days,
22 days.
for our names to be published in the newspaper. And I remember there were only 84 of us who got admitted in the
84?
Only 84. Out of I don't know how many set for but only 84 from different schools, but only 84 were admitted, and we were admitted with a mock result. So at that time, you'd be during those times you'd be admitted with a mock result, and you start schooling. If your work came out, if you are lucky to get the required credits, you continue. If you are not lucky, sorry for you, your name will be pasted on the notice board that the following students are hereby withdrawn, and then you go and look for another school. Maybe you go to CAS, maybe if your credits are solo, you start remedial there, and eventually you will go to the university. Because anybody that had been to the university with mock, eventually he came back to the university because he had the capacity. Only that WAEC did not favor him. But eventually he came back to the university, and some of our classmates came back and met us actually before we graduated.
Excellent.
You know,
and you graduated together?
No. Well, by the time they came back, some of them were already in level 2. Some of them who had to do remedial before doing IJMB for 2 years. That's 3 years. So we gave them 3 years. So they came back while we were in our final year.
Oh yes, definitely.
Yes.
But I'm particularly interested in the gap that you had between your finishing secondary school. Your 22-day gap. The secondary school before going to university. What did you do?
Well, my uncle of blessed memory, after about 2 or 3 weeks of about 2 weeks of graduation, he took me to the Minister of Works and to somebody that I think was a director. And he introduced me as his nephew and looking for a job. I think he spoke to him earlier before taking me. So he asked me of his of my results, mock results. So I straight in the mock result. He looked at it and shook his head and then asked me to come back the following Monday. Before Monday, the list of those admitted into the university was published in the newspaper, in New Nigerian newspaper. So I didn't go back for.
Oh, you didn't go back for the job.
But at that time, anybody who finished secondary school was automatic; they would get a job.
Wow!
It was automatic that you would get a job.
Either teaching job or job
either teaching job or in the ministry or anything.
Job, yeah.
Yes, anybody that look. During our school days, you could if you were good enough, you could even go to the radio station and say, I want to do some radio work, and as a secondary school student, and they'll give you the job to do it as long as they test you and you can do it. So jobs were available at the time.
And did you start your journalism career?
We'll get to that.
Okay,
we'll get to that.
So you did it during
no, I didn't. During our vacation days, where we used to be given, that was the time of Obasanjo's regime.
As a military head of state.
And he used to engage us during long vacation in what he called Operation Feed the Nation.
Okay.
So all universities feed the nation. So all university students were distributed to the farms to work on the farms with some allowance, monthly allowance for 3 months. Because during that time, every vacation, end of the year vacation was 3 months all over the world.
Okay.
Unlike now when Nigerian education system is so unstable that a whole end of session holiday may be just 3 weeks or 5 weeks. It used to be 3 months and some days or some weeks. So I continued with my reading culture in the university. I used to buy 2 newspapers every day.
Two newspapers
local, every day.
Like national
Nigerian newspapers now.
Yes.
Anytime we didn't have money, my roommate, because at that time when we entered the university, there were only 2 students per room.
Okay.
So in fact, there was a time when after Y came out and my roommate was asked to withdraw, so I remained in my room for a long time alone.
Okay, before somebody was
yes. I think up to the time until we were going into year 1. Yes, during those preliminary year, preliminary year, I stayed alone in the room. And so my classmate, my roommate would buy 1 newspaper, I would buy 1 if we didn't have the money.
Yes.
And then we exchange the newspaper.
The responsibility.
Yes.
You exchange, you read his and he reads yours.
Exactly.
Okay, excellent.
As time went on, by the time I was in the second to the last year.
But what were you studying at university?
Okay, good.
Yes. That's
so when we went for entrance exam, I said for entrance, everybody was supposed to sit for entrance exam in 3 subjects. I said for the entrance exam in mathematics, Hausa, and Islamic studies.
Okay.
An odd combination, but there was no guidance. I was a science student, so I was fairly good in mathematics. So I took math. That was the only close science subject that was offered by the School of Preliminary Studies in BUK. And I took Islamic studies and Hausa. When admission came out, they removed mathematics and put something like B Arabic. Okay. Meaning beginner's Arabic. Okay. But I didn't know what B stood for. So when we eventually enrolled, I took myself to the A Arabic class, advanced Arabic class. Wow. It was tough for me because nearly all of them were either School of Arabic Studies or SAS and other schools that had Arabic bias. Arabic bias. But eventually I got a C in it anyway. You got a C? I got a C in it and then proceeded into... How did you do it? Well, God. MashaAllah. Yeah, definitely. Yes. So proceeded into year 1. During that time, university education, apart from the preliminary year, was 3 years. That was after the A level. So I took I took Hausa, Islamic studies, and education. Okay. Now my passion for education came back to me. Definitely. So I took education. And at that time, Bayer University or Abdullahi Bayer College had a system of doing either BA Ed or B Ed or doing BA with graduate certificate in education. So you will end up with 2 certificates. One as a specialist, specialist, and the other certificate of education. Excellent. So I did that so that any time somebody who was a specialist was needed, I would be there. If education is required, I would use my education certificate. But we're being taught by young people. Okay. Not wide gap between our age and their age. At that time. We appreciated them. We wanted to be like them. And most of them who had masters did their masters abroad. Wow. So I developed interest in teaching in the university because of them. You understand?
Were they Nigerians?
Nigerians, yes.
Okay, you were not taught at
like
university by...
No, we are taught in the university. I think I was taught by only one non-Nigerian American,
okay.
And I will come to that. So I developed interest in teaching in the university.
Bello Salim, was he your lecturer?
He was
Professor,
my lecturer, yes.
Now Professor
yes.
Bello Salim.
Ahmed Bello Zaria. Some of them have died. Wada Hamza. Most of them, and we were actually like friends at the time because the age gap was not so much. And there are only 4 of us taking Hausa as special honors in the whole of the university. So we became very close to them. And I decided I wanted even to be lecturing during my NYSC.
Wow, yes.
But I was posted to Yola in then Gongola State, and there was no university there. So from the camp, I went to the College of Preliminary Studies, like their CAS, their IJMB institution, and said I wanted to see the principal. And I told the principal this was my ambition. Could he request that I be posted to his school? I was only 22, and he asked me what I read. I told him. And when the posting came, I saw 2 postings. One, I think it was the normal posting that I was supposed to
primary or secondary
primary, and then secondary school, and then the College of Preliminary Studies. But when I reported, I realized that there was no lecturer in Hausa in the school.
Oh, no.
The last lecturer was also a copper, and he had come and taken up a job with Bayero University. So they had no lecturer. So I was the only lecturer in Hausa taking remedial classes A and B, IJMB 1. A and B, IJMB 2, A and B, But as a young person who was always engaged in doing things, always busy. I mean, I never saw it as any big task.
Okay.
Even though I had to even compensate for what they lost.
Okay.
In the absence of a lecturer before I came, I used to fix maybe 2 to 4 classes. For the translation, just to make up.
Definitely.
But then after 4 o'clock, I had nothing to do. And because I've not been a person who would want to just go and sit with people in Majalisa and talking,
you didn't do that.
I was always at home, so I didn't know what to do. Then an idea came to me, and I went to the radio and made an announcement that I was opening a beginner's class for those who wanted to learn Hausa.
Wow.
So I got a class in the school from 4 to 6, and I registered about 40 people who could not speak Hausa all over Yola, and they started coming. And at the end of the first month, they gave me 40 naira. I mean, I was doing it voluntarily. But they gave me 40 naira. They contributed 1 naira each.
Oh,
people watching us, or especially the young ones, will say, "What is 40 naira?" 40 naira could buy me 4 big goats.
At that time,
exactly
4 big goats.
4 big goats. Yeah.
Wow.
So it was a lot of money. My NYC allowance was 180 naira.
180.
180 naira plus 40 naira. That was 220 naira, right?
That's great. That was wonderful.
It was wonderful. Then one of the senior staff, I think the dean of the student affairs, invited me to dinner. For dinner in his house. Okay. And for the first time, I realized that NTA Yola was established. So we watched the 7 o'clock news. So Hausa news. The following morning, I went to the NTA.
Wow.
And he said I wanted to see the general manager. And there was actually his name was Timaus Matthias. You probably would have known him because he was a writer, contributor in Daily Trust. Later, we established Jigao Television together with him.
Oh,
But so I told him, there's a problem with Hausa news. The only words, the first word that came from his mouth was, "Can you do it?"
Wow.
I said, "Of course I can do it."
That's challenging you.
Challenging me. Maybe they are looking for somebody who could do it.
Definitely. Yeah.
So he asked his messenger to call the manager news. The manager news came and he said, "Go and test this boy. Give him script to translate, bulletin to translate, put him on camera and come back." So he gave me translation, and at that time I knew how to type. So I used the typewriter to type the news, the translation. So we came back, and I started broadcasting on NTA Yola that day. That
very day?
That evening I started broadcasting news.
Did you step into his office with the intention of accepting any challenge?
No. I just went and said there was a problem with Hausa news.
Did you ever think like he would challenge you this way?
I think so. I think so. All I wanted was the opportunity to do the right thing.
Okay.
You know, this was Hausa. As a graduate of Hausa, I saw Hausa being butchered.
Butchered, yes, definitely.
You know, in the Hausa
metaphorically, yes.
butchered, because the broadcast was the news was being cast by non-Hausa.
Oh, yeah.
And so the tone, and even you could hear some words that are not Hausa words actually, or they were, let me say, Gongola words.
Okay.
You know,
not
because
like standard Hausa words.
Standard Hausa words.
Okay.
Yes, you know.
So that angered you?
That no, agitated me sort of to go and see how I could correct things. So I started that day, and eventually they gave me a personality profile interview sort of
in Hausa or English.
In Hausa. Okay. By the end of, I didn't know it was part-time job. I didn't expect any money really. But at the end of the month, I was asked to go to the accountant's office, and I signed and got 240 naira.
240 naira apart from your
my NYSC
plus the 40 naira of your
classes. So I became what my colleagues were calling super copper.
Yes, definitely. Yes, you are.
But the most important thing here is you could see how providing voluntary service.
That was what I was
can also reward you.
Definitely, yes.
Because I didn't go there to get anything.
No.
Even the class I opened for volunteers, it was not to get anything, really.
You just wanted to keep yourself busy and contribute to the community.
Yes.
Voluntarily.
But then I got more than what I ever expected. Because I didn't expect anything.
So now the lesson for young people watching is that they should not shy away from voluntary
Not shy away. They should force themselves, not only young people. Woman, how could somebody retire? Maybe somebody retires at 56. If I had worked all my life, I would probably have retired at 55 or 56. Still strong, still active, still mentally alert.
Yes.
And then you complain. Instead of you are a nurse. Why don't you go to the hospital and maybe give 2 days of your time away? You are a teacher and you retire. You know the school you left is in need of teachers. Why don't you go and maybe give 2 days or 3 days instead of staying at home and just thinking and negatively, and eventually maybe even getting hypertension,
and diabetes,
and maybe paralysis and whatever. Instead of you to go and give community service. So this is not just for the young people; it's for everyone.
For everyone. Definitely.
What God has given us is what we are now giving you, and people are watching as our own community service. I hope you understand. So everybody has something that can offer to the society. And the more we offer to the society, of course, the more God will offer His own blessings on you also. But if you just say, no, I can't do this, it has to be for money, and I mean, then what is your contribution at the end of the day to the society?
Definitely.
So by the time I finished my NYSC, I had about 5 jobs.
5 jobs.
I had 5
waiting
jobs
for you?
Waiting for me.
Wow. Could you remember?
Yes. Well, the school I served, of course, naturally gave me.
Definitely.
NTA naturally gave me a job.
Yes.
FRC, and because of now my exposure with television, FRC and Kaduna gave me a job.
Yes.
And I applied. When we came to mark IJMB in Yola, I met somebody from the same kind of school as mine from Yola, from Sokoto, and he said that they needed a house teacher in their school, and their salary was level 9 instead of level 8, and their car loan was 7,000 instead of 4,800, and with the 7,000 you could buy a brand new car at 6,000 and still have a balance of 1,000.
Wow.
So I applied to the school and went, and during our time, anywhere that invited you for interview or for exam, they will pay for your air ticket. They will pay for your accommodation. Because the job was looking for those to do it. It's like not unlike now where people are jobbers are looking for the job. The job was looking for you then. So you had to be paid to do the job.
The interview and the accommodation.
Yes, so that was the 4th one. And that was the job I initially picked.
Okay.
So when I went to Sokoto to give letter of acceptance for the job. I went to the university where one of my classmates was doing his service.
Okay. So he
Danfodio.
Yes.
So he took me to his head of department and introduced me and told her that I was his coursemate. She left us in her office without saying bye-bye and just left. After maybe about 15 minutes, she came to tell us that she was from the Vice Chancellor. She spoke about me and that the Vice Chancellor said I should apply.
MashaAllah.
I told her I've already gotten a job that would pay higher than the university. she gave me a paper and biro and said I must apply. Out of courtesy, I was seeing that woman for the first time, and I didn't want to embarrass my friend.
Yes, it's true.
So I wrote an application for a job with Osman Danfodio University and left. She asked me about my credentials. I said, well, I was not there for an interview, so I didn't come with my career. 2 weeks later, after going back to my station, primary assignment, I got a letter by post of employment from the university.
Oh my God!
That's how I got 5 jobs before I.
MashaAllah.
So I said, God, you all alone knew I wanted to teach in the university, and you gave me this on a platter. So let me go and take the university job.
So that was how you became a university
lecturer. Yes, in 1980.
1980. After finishing
my NYSC 7980.
Wow, excellent. That's absolutely remarkable. We have only 4 minutes. To go, which means we need to come back someday and record.
It's my pleasure, anytime.
And record the 3rd episode. But then in 3 minutes, we just need to like wrap up this part and fish out some of the most important lessons and talk to the audiences about, even though we have already started talking about the issue of voluntary service, community service, and so on and so forth. What could you say as a takeaway lesson from this episode, for example?
As a takeaway, never be lazy. Always get yourself busy doing one thing or the other. It keeps your brain always working. It takes away any negative thought, because anytime you are busy doing something, all negative thoughts take a plight at that particular time. Whether you are engaged for 1 hour, 2 hours, or 3 hours, as long as you are engaged doing something, all negative thoughts are out of your mind. And negative thoughts are what kill people. If you think negatively, you think negatively about people, about your job, about this, and always think positively. And the more you give, that's with the loss of the Almighty God. The more you give, the more you get. Don't think that you are enjoying life if you have nothing to do. No, pity yourself if you don't have anything to do. And if you don't have anything to do, always create something for you to do to keep yourself busy. But always keep learning and learning and learning and learning through reading.
True. What? These golden words are so mind penetrating and so emotional that I have said, okay, all these things that we have been doing in life are not enough. We have to redouble our effort, because like, not comparing ourselves.
I'm still not doing enough.
Oh my God. So what are we doing?
I'm still not doing enough.
Looking at what you have been doing and what you have achieved, we look at ourselves and say, no, we haven't done enough.
Let me quickly say this.
Okay, yes.
Despite my busy nature, I still have 2 media programs.
Wow.
I still have weekly radio program. I'm a guest on Freedom Radio Jigawa every Friday on their Barka Dansi program.
Wow.
And I'm a guest on Tambari Television every week.
In Kano here?
In Kano here.
Wow.
So, and somebody told me, well, there's this saying that those who say they don't have time, they're the people who should be given a responsibility, because they will squeeze time to do it.
Okay.
You understand?
Definitely, yes.
And one old man told me some time ago when I was doing Brigimar Hankaka on Freedom Radio.
Yes, a very important program.
He said, whatever you are asked to do it now, because there will be a time when even if you are given money to do it, you can't do it. That I introduced another program on Freedom Radio.
Wow. Definitely. So our next episode will focus on your life as a journalist, definitely, and see the lessons, what you did, what you went through, what you were able to achieve, alhamdulillah, and then the challenges, so that it would serve as a lesson to us now we are just fresh in the industry, learning and trying to give our own contribution to the system.
It will be my pleasure to come back.
Thank you very much indeed. We can't thank you enough. We have no words to express our gratitude.
Just say thank you.
Thank you very much. Jazakallah khair. We have learned a lot, and inshallah we're coming back whenever you are available. Thank you very much, viewers, on behalf of everyone that has contributed to the production of the show. And this is an exclusive interview we have had with Alhaji Adamu Ali Kiyawa, the Masanin Dutse Hakimin Kiyawa, for about 30 minutes. We have recorded 2 episodes. And when we come back, inshallah, subsequently, will focus on his life as a journalist after, I mean, like his life as a university lecturer, then transition into journalism, and look at how that would help us young people who are in the industry and those who are in the academia as well. On behalf of the production crew, the Ali Musa of Coventry University is the producer. My name is Umar Isa Dandugo. Saying goodbye and see you very soon. Thank you once again, sir.
You're welcome.